in interesting times. Today's stories. Argentinians struggle against an old enemy, high inflation. Myanmar landslide kills 22 and many more are feared missing. Brazil's president suggests a solution for a cleaner planet. A Canadian detained by Syria is freed after Lebanese intervention. Canadian police are confident 2 bodies found are murder suspects. Crooks impersonate cops in a phone scam. And the Vancouver Home Show connects people to craft and design. I'm Lou Aquino with Eagle News, broadcasting from Vancouver, bringing you stories from around the globe. Customers shopping at the Central Market in Buenos Aires have fewer buying choices. High inflation in Argentina is not only eroding their incomes, it is also limiting the selection of goods. Argentinian local Paulo Botos says people who live in the country have to learn to be flexible. Botos says the negative effects of inflation are limiting their dietary choices.
Se deteriora la calidad alimenticia, o sea, digo, la carne de vacuna es casi imposible comprarla y uno se maneja más comiendo por las ofertas que por lo que realmente uno quiere hacer su dieta, o sea, lo que ve de oferta lo compra. Si este mes es el pollo, se comerá pollo y así. Es así.
Adriana Boto, an architect and university teacher, says the standard of living in Argentina continues to drop.
Si uno lleva un nivel de vida, digamos, cae en la pobreza cuando se jubila, absolutamente.
Diego Fernandez says no matter how hard he works, he still has trouble making ends meet.
Estoy en la parte de logística de una empresa, después soy árbitro de fútbol los fines de semana y restauro fotos también en los tiempos libres. Y sin embargo, con esos 3 sueldos me alcanzan para vivir con los justos lo que es dentro del mes. Es un global.
A landslide in a village in eastern Myanmar has claimed at least 22 lives. Monsoon rains triggered the disaster. Emergency workers are searching for up to 100 people who can't be accounted for. A huge brown gash scars the hillside where the deluge of mud descended on Yi Pyar Khon village in Mon State. 16 homes were buried by the deep sludge. Search and rescue teams worked around the clock using excavators and even their bare hands trying to find survivors and recover bodies. Aerial pictures show broken remnants of rooftops and other debris from houses knocked over by the force of the mudslide. The village's hillside temple was destroyed. All that is left is the pagoda's golden spires peeking out from beneath the mud. Brazil's president has a novel suggestion to save the environment. After coming under fire for a surge in deforestation of the Amazon since he came to power, Jair Bolsonaro suggests that people, quote, poop every other day. He proposed the idea in response to a journalist's question as to whether it is possible to simultaneously spur economic growth, feed the world's hungry, and also preserve the environment.
É só você deixar de comer menos um pouquinho. Tá? Quando se fala em poluição ambiental, é só você fazer cocô dia sim, dia não, que melhora bastante a nossa vida também. Tá certo?
Bolsonaro has been criticized for a rapid acceleration in the deforestation of Amazon rainforests, which covers vast swaths in Brazil. It is considered vital to combating global warming. Bolsonaro is a combative politician frequently denounced for derogatory remarks about women and minority groups. He says the rapid rise in populations around the world need to be addressed. Up next, a Canadian detained by Syria is freed after intervention by Lebanon. Canada police are confident 2 bodies found are murder suspects. These stories and more when Eagle News returns. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News. A Canadian man has been freed after being held for 8 months in Damascus in war-torn Syria. The release of British Columbia native Christian Lee Baxter was mediated by Lebanese authorities. Lebanese Security Chief Abbas Ibrahim says Baxter have been detained since last year for reasons linked to breaking Syrian laws, but he did not elaborate. Canadian media reported in early January that there had been no signs of the 44-year-old man since December 1, 2018. Baxter thanked his embassy in Beirut and Lebanese authorities for helping secure his release. Canadian Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland says she cannot comment on what Ottawa did to help free Baxter, as she thanked the Lebanese government.
Today is a wonderful day for Canadians, of course, for us at the embassy who've been working on this, and we have our Lebanese friends to thank for it. So thank you so much. And
Described as an adventure traveler by his loved ones, Baxter had made no contact since arriving at a Syrian village where his brother-in-law was born. He had traveled there despite the brutal war that has been raging in Syria since 2011. The manhunt is over for 2 men believed to be the fugitive teens who allegedly murdered 3 people last month in British Columbia. Police had been scouring a region in northern Manitoba for 3 weeks in an effort to find 19-year-old Cam MacLeod and 18-year-old Byers Melski. RCMP spokeswoman Jan McClatchy says the bodies were found in dense brush in the central Canadian province.
While there were no confirmed sightings since July 22nd, we never gave up in our search efforts, following up on every lead, considering all options, and using every available resource. We knew that we needed just to find that one piece of evidence that could move this search forward. On Friday, August 2nd, that one critical piece of evidence was found. Items directly linked to the suspects were located on the shoreline of the Nelson River. Following this discovery, we were at last able to narrow down the search. We immediately sent in specialized RCMP teams to begin searching nearby high-probability areas.
MacLeod and Schmigelski were wanted over the murders of an Australian man and his American girlfriend, as well as of a Canadian university professor. Initially, the pair were reported missing themselves after their car was found torched in British Columbia. But police then discovered a third body, and the Vancouver teens were named as formal suspects. McClatchy says police had found items linked to the suspects on the shores of the Nelson River, including a battered aluminum boat.
I'm confident that it is them, but to identify them officially and to be sure, we have to go to autopsy. I don't have an answer for that. It's a very dense place. It's a difficult place to find anybody, as I said earlier. Very tough terrain, lots of land as well. It's a huge area that we're looking at. It's very hard to pinpoint anything in such a dense terrain.
Coming up, scammers con a Western Canadian man out of $6,000 by impersonating police. And the Vancouver Home Show connecting people to craft and design. Eagle News continues after this. This is Eagle News. I'm Lou Aquino. A telephone scam making the rounds start with a phone call from someone claiming to be a government investigator who says they have evidence linking you to a crime. Eagle News correspondent Thomas I. Likeness talked with the victim of these fraudsters to find out how these criminals operate.
Bob lives in a Western Canadian city. Recently, he lost $6,000 to these crooks. Bob agreed to tell Eagle News his story, but he asked us not to reveal his true name. One morning, Bob received a call. He was told that information about him had been found at a crime scene in Ontario in a car that had blood and drugs in it. He was told that several bank accounts had been opened in his name and were used for money laundering and drug trafficking. The caller then asked Bob a series of questions about his banking information. When he questioned the legitimacy of the caller, Bob was told to type in the phone number on his caller ID into Google, which then directed him to what appeared to be a government website. Because Bob had previous problems with identity theft, he decided to follow the directions of these bogus investigators in an attempt to clear his name. He was instructed to go to his bank and withdraw $6,000. He was told that by doing so, police would be able to verify he had nothing to do with the other accounts. Bob was assured the money would be held by the government and returned to him within 15 minutes. Over the course of the next 6 hours, the fake cops directed Bob to buy $4,000 worth of gift cards from various convenience stores. He was told to put the remainder of the cash into a Bitcoin machine. I asked Bob, "Why didn't you just hang up? Why didn't you ask someone for advice?"
They made it very clear that if I told anyone, it could compromise the investigation, so I had to keep silence and just follow their directions.
As the scam played out, Bob says there were 3 people involved.
Well, the first one was the alleged junior officer. They took the information. The second one was the bad cop. His idea was to get you all upset so that you would hang up. And then the third one would call you back, and he was the good cop, the one that you could trust. And of course, that's how they were able to extort the money from me.
At one point, he was warned if he hung up, his bank account would be suspended for 6 months and police would arrest him. When Bob realized he'd been scammed, he went to the bank and then called police. In retrospect, he says he was disappointed the bank did not question his withdrawal of such a large sum of money.
The bank managers were stunned at that it had happened. But what I was really upset about from the bank manager's point of view from the other bank was that they didn't question such a big transaction, considering the fact I've never taken out that kind of money out of my account ever. So
Bob added one convenience store clerk did question his purchase of the gift cards.
There was one staff member who did, and I wish I had listened to her. But again, at the time, they even gave me a script of what to say to them if I was asked any questions. She just said, "Are you sure that this is not a scam?" And I just said, "No, they're for my little brother." And that was what the script was.
Many people who have been conned out of money feel so ashamed they won't even file a police report. But Bob says he wants people to know his story.
It's just because I don't want to see anybody else fall victim to this. I'm a Christian myself, so knowing that that this happened to me, I just don't want it to happen to anybody else. So if we can get as much education out there as to what's going on, and hopefully like the banking institutions and the law enforcement can get involved as well, it would be a great help, in that maybe we can at least deter or even stop these thieves from doing what they're doing.
He says banks could do a lot to stop this kind of fraud.
Well, if you really want to make it difficult for them, I think the banks would be the best option, because people will still answer their phone regardless, and people will still listen to these people. But if the banks are well informed and can even, deter these thieves by either posting it straight on the windows, or when these people are pulling out that kind of sum of money and it seems like they're agitated, maybe ask questions, or even better yet, have a sign saying that if you're being harassed over the phone, this is a scam, hang up, we'll call the police.
Police and government agencies say they will never ask you for money to clear your name. If they do want to talk to you, they'll call you and make arrangements to meet in person, probably in a government office or at the police station. If you should get a suspicious phone call and you don't recognize the number, let it go to voicemail. If you do answer it and you're still suspicious, just hang up. In Edmonton, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News, I'm one with 25.
The luxury home and design show comes to Vancouver for those who enjoy the finer things in life. Eagle News correspondent Isabel Fernandez has the details.
Exhibitors and enthusiasts alike have gathered here at BC Place in Vancouver, Canada for the Luxury Home and Design Show. Let's take a look. While one of the trends today sees people embracing a simple lifestyle that includes things such as tiny homes and approaches like minimalism, folks at the other end of the spectrum are drawn to the finer things in life. Vancouver's Luxury Home Show did not fall short of expensive and unique items on display. Timothy Bélanger, a guest designer at the show, has clients around the world. He says the show is a chance to let people know what's available locally.
It's not just about buying expensive things, it's about creating a lifestyle. And traditionally in Vancouver, I was born in this city. I've lived all over the world, and what I've found is a lot of the people that live here aren't aware of what's available to them here. They think they have to go to other parts of the world to find things. And we're trying to show them, no, we're bringing it over here.
Bélanger says luxurious living is more than just accumulating expensive things.
My philosophy was to create an environment where people could interact actually with the artisans, as opposed to just walk to a booth and look at the work, to actually interact with the artisans, because I feel that's very important. And what gives a product value is if you understand the story, the history, and why the artisan is making that product. And that's what I integrate that into my design when I work with clients. I want to know who they are, why they want certain things. It's not about money, it's not about status, it's about who are you? What's your character? How do we create an environment that reflects who you are and hopefully inspires you to grow and be more? And that's how in my mind, we create leadership.
Show organizer Lauren agrees, says people are mistaken about what luxury really means.
Because when people hear the word luxury, they don't associate it with purpose, innovation, meaning, and this driving people as they craft, as they design, as they endeavor to discover new ways to create.
So how does luxury portray itself in Vancouver? Does the city have a core style? Designer Bélanger just shakes his head.
Unfortunately, Vancouver, from my perspective, is very trendy. I think Vancouver is still finding its way and looking, have a style that may be indicative of Vancouver. Currently, that seems to be not very colorful, white, gray, and charcoal.
From the Luxury Home and Design Show in Vancouver, British Columbia, I'm Isabel Fernandez, 1 with 25.
That is this week's Eagle News. Join us next week for stories that matter to you. Visit our website at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenews and Facebook at facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I am Lou Aquino. I'm 1 with 25.